Hello, welcome back to the Rusty Nuts. Today you join me in Bob, and one of the jobs that we needed to do on Bob was to get him rust proofed underneath, undersealed. So I had bought 5 litres of Tetrasil clear wax oil. You know, it's a variation of what wax oil, the original wax oil is. I was going to apply it myself. Now, you might have seen the video on the channel previously where I looked at a lanolin based one, which was Lano Shield, similar to Lano Guard, which is the big one at the moment. You know, it's all over social media pretty much every time I go on it. But I thought, actually, we've put a lot of money into Bob, a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of effort, and Bob is on his original chassis. So whilst we've repaired all the areas that were really quite thin and may have not even been there with new metal, there's still probably quite a lot of old surface rust inside the chassis that you can't see, where he'll be rusting from the inside out. So the plan is today, in the Midlands, there's a place called Krown Rustproofing. Now, you might have seen this on Hub Nuts videos in the past. I'm quite fortunate, I live quite near to there, so we've got about a 35-minute drive. We're going to go over to Krown Rustproofing, which is a Canadian-based business. I guess it works off probably a franchise model, and we're going to go and get Bob properly, professionally undersealed. You know, these guys are doing this day in, day out. From what I've seen of Krown, they're really thorough. They'll be putting the tubes inside the chassis and treating inside the chassis, which is the bit that I was kind of really interested in. And not always having the availability of a ramp-up mix. It means that, you know, I don't have to bother trying to do this on the drive. It's something that I can get someone else to undertake for me and hopefully do a far better job than I do. Now we're getting into the colder months as well. A lot of criticism I got when I applied Lano Guard before was that I did it in the winter months and it was very cold.
Just so you know, I wasn't lying about the snow. Check that out, we had a little dusting.
So, you know, I think this is the ideal situation. Krown seems to have a setup where you just drive in almost, I think it was an old car wash, the building that they've got. You just drive in, they do the treatment. It can take up to 3 hours because they'll obviously clean everything off, blow it off, and then they'll apply the wax. I think the price is about 340 quid for the Land Rover. I think for a smaller vehicle, it's probably about 270, I think I saw on their website. So, you know, it is a lot of money compared to, you know, you buy yourself a 70, 80 quid bottle of Lano Guard or whatever and you treat your vehicle yourself. But it is a mucky, messy, horrible job.
Well, that was certainly a nice and greasy job. I'm just got to the point where the glare from the work light underneath the car, I couldn't even see what I was doing because of all the grease on these.
And I see it a worthwhile investment, at least for this initial treatment, to make sure Bob's chassis has got as much wax oil in it and on it as possible to prolong the life of it, really. My main regret is I wish I'd closed the back because it's pretty chilly today and I didn't really dress suitably either. So I was thinking about getting a fume curtain. So Exmoor Trim, who make the canvas, also make what they call a fume curtain, which goes across the back here. So in winter, obviously it means it's more like a truck cab, so there's not such a big area to heat up. But also it stops the fumes from the exhaust because they can be quite a lot, particularly if you don't open the front vents. So the idea of the front vents on these, if you've got the back open, is you open the front vents, it draws the air through, particularly with the likes of dust. So if you're in a sandy, dusty environment, in the military manual it tells you to open the front vents to keep that flow, so it stops it sucking that in. I guess it's similar with the fumes as well, because the exhaust is right up the back there. A lot of the fumes get pumped in. Certainly not that bad in the front, but if you're sat in the back it can be quite bad. But yeah, I thought a fume curtain might help with warmth more than anything. But I do regret not shutting that back door. We're about 15 minutes away. Right, well that was good, very quick. So when I first spoke to Robert at Krown, he said it could take up to 3 hours, but I guess at that point they don't know the condition of the chassis underneath. Obviously Bob being freshly restored, the chassis was really clean anyway, other than the mud that we got at Tanks and Trucks, but I cleaned that off myself. So all he had to do really was a little bit of wire brushing here, there, a soft brush just to knock any dry mud off, because it's been quite dry recently, and then he could get to the application. It was interesting, while I was there I obviously asked him some questions, and Krown is a petroleum based, it's almost like a wax that is mixed with petroleum, so it's a semi-solid, so when it goes onto the chassis it never really fully dries, which gives you that creep that you kind of get in the literature for something like Lanagard as well. So what he was saying is, like, you know, if you get a scuff or something underneath, then the product will actually creep and fill that gap, which is quite interesting. He said with occasional use for Bob, we're probably looking at another reapplication in 5 years, but to be on the safe side, and I kind of like the idea, is he said you couldn't really go wrong with a two-year application. So I think that's probably what we'll do, you know, and I'm not sure if it'll be the same price then, I forgot to ask that, but he referred to it as a top-up, so in my mind I'm thinking maybe it's less because it's not as a heavy application, but he's done all underneath, he's filled the chassis, he's done the bulkhead and filled the bulkhead as well, so it was a really good application, and like I say, it saved a lot of time because there wasn't much prep work for Bob. Like I said earlier, it's a Canadian based business, and if any of you know, Canadian roads are salted very, very heavily, probably comparable to somewhere like Scotland in the UK, and obviously we could have gone to town with a dinitrile sort of bitumen type product, but like I said to you earlier, I kind of wanted to keep that untouched look of the chassis underneath. So as it is a fluid, there will be some dripping out, and it will sort of run off eventually, but I really liked it. I thought, you know, the Rob was really nice there. The process was very easy. They got a nice waiting room. I actually walked up to Tesco and had myself a big breakfast as well while I waited, so I was happy. And yeah, now we're on the way home, so what I'll do is I'll chuck some footage in now. When we get back, I'll go underneath, I'll do a bit of filming, show you what it looks like, and it'll give you a bit of an idea. It looks very similar to when I applied the Lana Shield to Oscar, which was my old Austin A40. Right, so you've just seen there the what it looked like straight after application and what Oscar looked like after I had applied Lanagard after about a week. So I'll show you now underneath what it's looking like. So this is just over a week after application. And you can see it it's semi-dry, so there's like an oily texture to it, but it remains a fluid and it creeps. And there's a really good video online, I'll pop it in the description, can't remember exactly who it was, but I'll put it in there, and he does a review of it, and he sprays it on a piece of metal, comes back a week later and you can see how it creeps out, but he also left it for 2 years on some bare metal, shiny bare metal steel, and it hadn't rusted at all. So it shows you how good this stuff is. So I'm hoping in the chassis where it's been sprayed up and down in there, it's creeped, filled all the crevices and stuff, and it'll give it some really good protection. But I'm really pleased with it. I think it's done a good job. Let's have a quick butchers at the rear, and I think we'll leave it there. And what I'll do is, in sort of 6 to 12 months, I think we'll do another review. But if you have a look now, compared to that video I just showed you where it's freshly applied, it's looking great. It's covered really nicely. Everything, you can kind of see where it's creeped. It's gone almost matte now rather than glossy. So I think it's a really good treatment. The only thing I got warned about by Rob was it will drip for a while, and I mentioned that in the clip on the way home. It's dripped quite a lot, so if you're going to get it done, if you're bringing it back,
and you're not bothered, park it on the road maybe where it's not your property. But if it's on your driveway, put some cardboard down or something and let it drip on that. It dripped for a couple of days, and you can see here I've kind of got some big stains on the drive now, which this tarmac's old, so we're probably going to get it replaced at some point soon. But you can see that it's quite excessive, so I'm not flavour of the month at the moment because of this. But yeah, it is what it is, isn't it? It's it'll burn off in the sun next summer if we've still got this driveway, so I'm not too concerned. But yeah, so Krown Rustproofing, so far so good. We'll give it we'll check in probably in 6 to 12 months. I'll let you know how it's getting on. But for now, thanks for watching. If you're liking our videos, drop a like down below. We post every Sunday, so do tune in for more. We've got Bob, we've got Angus, and then obviously Mindy, and the bike, the Bullet. So yeah, stay tuned, and we'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.